When you have hope in your heart about your dream and somehow managing to take steps forward every day, just to sometimes get through the day, to move a creative project forward, that's when you're winning. We all think that winning is something that's when we win this award and when this happens or we get the publisher. But actually the winning is when every day you're edging forward and fighting, often yourself more than anyone else, just to really move forward. So this podcast episode is, oh yes, another 5 more ways to end overwhelm and find your joy again as a creative. So there's 5 exercises here that I'm going to talk about and I'm going to encourage you to try. There are a previous 15 on 3 other podcasts that you can go back and have a listen to, but they're all different and individual. And the reason I've split it into this is because I don't want to overwhelm you with more choices. As we all know, the more choices and decisions we make every day means that actually we break down our willpower to the point where Barack Obama, he would always wear a blue suit and a blue shirt when he was in the White House, because he didn't want to have to think about what he was wearing, because it's another decision that really isn't relevant. So let's have a go. So this is all about how we can all every day find ways of kind of moving forward, because life is difficult right now, but what we can do is change how we feel and the actions we take, even if it's really scary and tough out there and we think we may never get on stage again. And I know people are worrying about work and money coming in and all that, but what you can do is give yourself a break at least every day and do something creative, because I'm assuming you're listening to this because you are a creative of some kind, or you're wanting to be. And actually creativity not only gives joy to the world, and the world really needs that from you right now, but also it gives you hope, because if you're doing things for yourself every day that are positive, it makes you feel better and more able to tackle the hard stuff. So it sounds quite serious, but it's because I care, and I don't want you to kind of collapse in a ball and go, oh my goodness, this is just awful. There are steps, and obviously if you feel super down, then please do go and talk to reach out to friends and family, call the Samaritans, get some help, because your life is very important, and I don't want people just going alone. I think we all need to have backup. So that's why in the first episode I was talking about find yourself a cheerleader or reconnect with people, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, let's get going on this. So number 16, that's exercise 16, is take a singular step forward every day towards your creative dream. Now, that might be practicing your guitar. That might be thinking about the bridge on your song, or working out how to make your feature-length film into a 5-minute short, because what is the one story you can try and make at least cheaply at home in lockdown to then try and get funding for the next. It could be emailing someone about maybe them representing you. It could be painting something. But I'm going to say vow to yourself. If you vow to yourself, to the wonder of you, that you will honour yourself every day by taking a step towards your career, your creative career, even if it feels more like a tiny little shuffle, even if your day job, you're in furlough or you hate it just to pay the bills, or whatever you're doing, just promise yourself that every day you're going to take a step forward creatively. And I would encourage you to get up earlier than you need to if you have to go out to work or look after children and all the things you do. Try and get it done first thing in the morning. I would encourage you, because it will just make you feel that you're honouring yourself and you're honouring your muse. Because where creative ideas come from, there's lots of beautiful theories, from the Greeks thinking the muse lived in the walls, literally. Ideas come through us in the way they come through us. Stephen Pressfield, the War of Art writer, a very good book. He has a completely different idea, which some of it and then a bit at the end. But what I do know is our duty to be prepared, and that means showing up. And anyone that you look at across the history of making work that is renowned or remembered has just kept showing up. So I want you to show up every day in your life as the artist, however you define that, as a creative that you are, and making one step forward. That might mean not turning off Netflix. That might be getting the kids to bed and not collapsing, having a glass of wine, but doing your art. But I'm going to implore you to declare, to vow to your life that every day for the next 365 days, you're going to take a step forward, because it will pay dividends. You are winning even if you can't see it. Trust me, believe it. I did a podcast episode called What's Next, which you'll probably, if you want to think about this a bit more, go and listen to What's Next. Or ask what's next, about really saying that, ask what is the next step. And sometimes the next step is just picking up the guitar. But sometimes it's other things, it's more practical things. I've been having lots of fun with tech and goodness knows what. So that's number 16. Number 17, exercise is read a biography or an autobiography a week, a fortnight. And I would suggest you make sure that you get through at least 12. So one a month. If you can get through one a week, great, but I certainly don't, just because I get very busy. But if you do that, if you start reading biographies and autobiographies, and you keep learning about how other people, some of which you might admire, and maybe sometimes some people you don't know much about, your admiration for them and the strength in your heart to keep fighting through will soar. Soar, not as in soar a block of wood, but soar, like arms wide, flying. Because once you have read in-depth stuff about how they lived out your life, it will completely educate you from the inside out on how you tackle yours. And I would choose wildly different people, from politicians to activists to painters to whoever kind of you want. I think there's some books that are always really worth reading, because also you're part of the vernacular. So have you read Obama's book about the father? So it could be a politician's book, like Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom. It's really, really interesting to read, and probably once every few weeks. And I read this book maybe 25 years ago. Yeah, he's maybe not that long, maybe in 20. Sidney Poitier, the black actor, absolute shining legend of a human, and his story about how he got started in acting. He basically was looking for his next dishwashing job. I'm not joking. He was in New York and his hands got cold. And he saw Actor Wanted. And he went to find out and couldn't get in. And the lengths to which he went, and the creative choices, even though he was struggling, so he wouldn't portray black men in the black, Americans in a way that was in any way not really inspirational. I just remember him going, he had to learn to read properly because he's Bohemian. So some Irish guy used to help him read and learn to read in between dishwashing sessions where he worked. And he'd listen to the radio to try and educate his ear. And as hard as we all... Well, I mean, I don't know your personal circumstances, but certainly as hard as life got. Oh, my God, this is so hard. At least I knew how to read and write. So, my goodness... Eartha Kitt, she wasn't able to marry the man she loved, who was a Hilton Hotel heir, because although she was super famous, but obviously she had her skin colour, which she then called, and if you read her biographies, her books, she called herself mulatto, because that's what she was called then, right? And I saw Eartha Kitt when she was both 80 and 81 perform, like 6 months before she died. And I mean... Then knowing that what I knew about her from what she'd actually written, it's just, there are so many incredible things you can learn. And I would encourage you to read it. And it could be an audiobook, I'm with that. But I wouldn't only go after documentaries, because the problem with a documentary is it is curated normally by a filmmaker. If you can find a documentary they made about themselves, whoever the person you're looking at is, great. But every documentary filmmaker has their own. I mean, I went to the Cannes Film Festival, the Amy Whitehouse one. I was at the festival, the Sheffield, for the Whitney Houston one. I'm not denigrating those, but I would argue that go to the source where you can, because you'll really learn about how they've reacted and their own views. A bit like the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody film. Obviously, that film, I mean, amazing, but really it was the story of the making of the songs of Queen. And I never met Freddie Mercury, but I do understand that he was probably the most charismatic, sexy human you've ever seen. And he's the only moment I really felt you saw that kind of dark, dangerous, delicious side of him was when he walked through in the Another One Bites the Dust, and he's walking through the club scene with the gay club. But it's so anaesthetise that side of him because they were wanting to be commercial, and it was, it's not. So I would really go after the book version if they've done it, or others. And maybe if you're fascinated, read two opposing versions of it. So I'd encourage you to do at least one a month and pick different people, and you'll be a better creative for it because you'll have other voices that you've in your head, and you think, oh God, I remember when I read about so and so tackling this issue. And how did they get through it? It could be a religious leader you want to talk about. You could, dare I say it, read a Trump biography. But maybe that's not a bad thing, because then you could get angry. You could probably create out of anger or... Oh dear. Anyway, let's move really quickly on. So, right, that was number 17, read a biography. Once a week. 18. Where's my notes? Oh yeah. So... this is a derivation of an acting exercise by Boleslavsky, and it is something that you use as an actor, but I've kind of extended it into creative. And I've studied acting across the world, but I was out for a while. I was studying at school in America, in LA. I've also studied in New York a lot with the legendary Jack Waltzer, the Meisner teacher, and London, of course, as well. But lots of London study. But Boleslavsky talks about going to a park or somewhere where you could people watch, take a coffee, be outside or inside and watch someone. It could be a person, could be a couple. Do it with love, don't do it crazy, but have a look at them, look at their body language and think about what their conversation is. Don't be near enough to hear them, that's just creepy, right? And don't follow them home, okay? None of that rubbish. But dream about what they might be talking about. Dream about what they're saying versus what they're thinking. Dream about where they're going next. Have just a little dream. Watch how they physically stand. I mean, obviously this is an acting exercise. Watch how they stand very close to each other or don't. Watch how they interact. Watch how they walk. Watch what bags, what they got in their handbag. Just really study. And if you don't want to do it with people, then do it outside and look at a squirrel in a tree and make up a story about the squirrel. But really look at the situation and make something up, and you can choose to then write about it and journal it. You can choose to even, create a character that there'll be something that you see that will inspire something else. So it's not copying, it's just an inspiration thing. And you might want to dig deeper, and you might just go, oh, but then go out the next week. I suggest you try this Boleslavsky exercise once a week for, I'd say, at least 4, because what you're doing is you're training your eye and you're opening up the, oh, what if? I mean, I always do this. When I'm travelling, if I look at someone, I always think, oh, I try and find one thing that I really like about them. They might look exhausted, but they've still got fabulous nails. Or I really try and find one thing that I think, oh, or they've got kind eyes. But this Boleslavsky is more about watching the behaviour, because obviously we study human behaviour as creatives to then tell stories. So 2 more to go. Right, number 19, morning journaling. So there's no wrong way to journal. The one way that certainly Julia Cameron talks about is basically get 3 sheets of A4 paper and write by hand. No typing, no edit. Dump your thoughts on them first thing in the morning. From I hate my to I wish to, oh, I wonder if I can. And I suggest you do them once a day for the next month. I wouldn't bother rereading them. I just throw them away. If there's thoughts that come out of it that you think, oh, that's an action I could take, write it on a separate piece of paper. I'm the queen of sticky notes. I may yet make a dress out of them one day. Very drag race. And with a large whiteboard, there's a little hat. Oh, I'm quite liking this. Now I think about it. But just dump your thoughts on it and then let it go. And the thing is, what will happen is if you do it first thing in the morning when you get up with your coffee, then you will, or after you've meditated, you'll just find themes coming through, and it gives you a safe space to dump, which is very good for mental health. But then after you've done your 3 pages, you might get angry, you might get upset, but after your 3 pages, pick them up, crumple them, throw them away, be done. And it will really help. So that's number 19, and my number 20. My 20th exercise, should it be more fabulous than the others? I think they're all fabulous. But it's a kind of fabulous one. The exercise is become your own cheerleader. We all need someone in our corner whooping and, oh, you're doing brilliantly, like actual cheerleaders. And there was an exercise earlier in the podcast about getting some cheerleaders in your life. Not necessarily paying for them, but if you need to, that's fine. But you really need to appreciate and find ways to appreciate how fabulous you're doing. So one part of becoming your own cheerleader is doing that gratitude exercise, which is before you go to bed at night, think of 3 things that day specifically that you're really grateful for. When I am doing my singing psychic shows, I will sometimes, if I feel it, I will just say to someone, look at yourself in the morning. Obviously, I do it with the accent. Every morning, wake up and look at yourself naked and pick one thing you love about yourself. It could be curvature, it could be a boob, it could be a fabulous behind, it could be a million things, but find 3 things. So find 3 things that you're grateful for, and I'd also personally add and find one thing you love about yourself. Literally, find one thing, and this should be different. 3 grateful things every day, and a different thing you love about yourself. So, because I think and you can take this as far as you need, and I don't want to have the world's longest podcast here, so I won't go on, but if you're feeling like it in the morning, just ask yourself this final question. What am I going to do today that is fabulous for moving my life forward? You could answer it as part of your morning journals, or just put it on a sticky. What am I going to do today that is fabulous and feels fabulous for moving my life forward? And sometimes that is taking an action step you don't want to, but you've got no choice. But sometimes it is just picking up the guitar, doing the exercise, whatever it is. But just remember your fears. The world needs your fears. We all need the art and you in this world bringing it. There's, the very famous Marianne Williamson one that was then quoted by Nelson Mandela. But we all have a light that shines within us, and it is up to us to not allow others to dim that light. But it's our responsibility to every day polish that light, see the incredible human that you are. And I'll give you lots of exercises, but really this is the taking responsibility for your life. It goes hand in hand with taking a step forward every day and also going, actually, I'm really fabulous. I'm doing this. I've got my head up high and I'm fighting through, even if you just feel like, oh my God, this is too hard. Because you know what? You're here. You've made it this far. And the one thing I understand is the more challenges that come at me, when I get through them and get over them, I'm always fiercer and stronger, and I chant, and there's this idea that the reason why someone said to me once, the reason why we chant is that we go after bigger waves. I now choose to surf bigger waves because I just understand, and that's also if you've been through hard things. You think, oh, well, I got through that, so this is never going to be as hard as that. Something else always comes up. This has its own possibilities, but you are fierce and beautiful and wonderful. Really, I feel that, and I'm speaking to you that. I'm singing it's like it's channeling yourself. And you have to remind yourself of that every day. 3 things you're grateful for at the end of every day. In the morning, say, what is the one thing I absolutely love about myself today? And what is the thing you're going to do today? The one thing that you feel is going to be fabulous for moving your life forward. So there we are. So go back and listen to them. There is going to be a course, not a course because it's going to be a podcast, but maybe a course as well, on finance for creatives. So I'm going to be following that up after these, but go back and listen to the other 3 parts of this if you want more ideas. But don't just pick one and go with it for a week or a month, and then pick another one, right? And let me know how it goes. So you can get hold of me if you want to book me for like booking the Singing Psychic or booking my Queen show or booking me to talk about this stuff, etc. Then you can contact me. I'm at Marisha T on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm on Marisha Trembetska as well, and also my at the Singing Psychic on the Facebook and also Instagram. Oh, so many channels. And there's a Love Your Creativity blog that I started years ago, and I've been so busy making it, but you can definitely find some cool stuff. If you do want to book me as an actor or to work with me on that way, then you can contact my agent. Keep in touch. Have some fun. Enjoy the challenge of. You're going to look back in years. I want you to be able to look back in years to come and go, that was hard, but I managed to get this done, and actually impressing yourself with how it's kind of really helpful, because it's about hope, right? If you have, I'm going to end, if you have hope in your heart, you will have more grit, you will have more perseverance, you will have more persistence, you will have more ability that when the obstacles come, even if they're right here, you wade through that mud and you keep going. And actually that is how you end up with an extraordinary life, which you deserve. Okay. So I have actually created a toolkit. So all of the 20 exercises in one place with some more detailed questions to ask yourself on each one. So if you would like to have that, I'd like to say sexy PDF, but I'm not sure a PDF can be sexy. But if you would indeed like a copy of that, and I'm going to let it be available for free, certainly for the next 2 months, then either email me at info@loveyourcreativity.com, or equally, if you go to my loveyourcreativity.com website, which I've got, there's a pop-up on there, and if you want to put your details in the pop-up, so just go to loveyourcreativity.com and pop your details in the pop-up and you'll get it sent through. Any issues, just tweet me or Facebook me and say, I haven't got it. Otherwise, just email me at info@loveyourcreativity.com with the word toolkit in the top, and I will then get that sent over to you via email. Right, I'll speak to you soon. My name is Marisha Trembetska, and this was Love Your Creativity and Make Money, and that's the next series. Okay, bye.